And I think clearly common sense tells you that not all men will sexually assault women. But I think the issue starts from the fact that 99% of men don't even know what sexual assault is. Guys, I'm getting ready to film a YouTube video and I'm halfway through my makeup and I realize I didn't put any primer on. And I know you're probably like, what is that? Like, what is that? It's like, my makeup's gonna sweat all the way off. I'm like a primer person. Like, I need primer. I can't. Should I wipe everything off and do it again? Should I? But I'm already so far. I've already contoured. I'm what to do? I'm big mad. How must I not put primer on? That makes no sense. I'm gonna be walking around 5 minutes. You're gonna see my makeup all the way down here. Hi guys, this is my umpteenth time trying to do this video. I'm gonna try and stay on track and not go off on a tangent, but it makes me so mad. I always do end up going off on a tangent. But yeah, let's just get right into it. Before we get started, first I want to make a trigger warning. I will be talking about like violence against women, sexual assault, and the R word in this video. So if you're not comfortable with that, and I know that this does trigger some people, I'm asking you to please not watch any further. The second thing I want to talk about is I live in like nature, which means I'm almost, if I'm doing a video at home, always going to have to be competing with the animals. So if you hear a bird in the background or you hear the crickets start cricketing, I am sorry. I free the animals, let them live. Right? So let us get started. I want to start out, my hair is wild. First of all, let's start there. But I want to start out with a couple definitions. And I'm looking down because I have my trusty notepad here. I want to start with a couple of definitions. So let's start with the definition of sexual objectification. So what sexual objectification is when you sexualize someone and you treat them as an object instead of a person. This means that you disregard their wants, their needs, their personalities, and you see them as a way to facilitate your sexual desires. So basically seeing somebody not as a person, but as a thing. That's sexual objectification. Next, we're going to talk about sexualization. So sexualization is when you make an object sexual. So sexual objectification, you make someone into an object. Sexualization is when you make an object sexual, meaning this cup could be sitting here minding its business. There's nothing sexual about this cup. Then some perverted man, I'm sorry, that was very sexist of me. Some perverted person comes along and they're like, you know what? This cup is very sexy. And I think of a couple of things I want to do with this cup. Then that's basically sexualization. It's making an object sexual without like the object doing anything to be classified as sexy, right? And then the last thing I want to talk about is sexual assault. So the definition of sexual assault is any unwanted, unwelcome sexual approach or sexual implications towards a victim. So it needs to be unwanted, it needs to be unwelcome, and there is a victim, which means that there's a perpetrator. So if you are making an advance towards somebody that the person deems sexual, it is assault. Let us rephrase. If you are making an advance towards someone that's unwanted, unwelcome, and they, the victim, deem that assault to be sexual, deem that advance to be sexual, it is assault. And I know a lot of people don't get this because yes, catcalling can be considered sexual assault if it's unwanted, unwelcome, and has sexual implications, because nothing nice comes after catcalling. I looked so mad doing that a while ago, but like nothing nice comes after catcalling. If somebody says, you know what's nothing good. Nothing that you want to hear. And if you do want to hear it, then great for you, go right ahead, whatever. But I can guarantee you that 90% of women do not want to hear what you have to say next. But let's get started. Let's jump into this whole rant, this whole issue of sexual objectification in Jamaica and why Jamaican women feel so endangered and why Jamaican men need to stop. So I have lived in Canada for like 3 years. I've lived in Jamaica my whole life, like 18 years. And then I lived in Canada for 3 years and I'm back in Jamaica. And I've been in Jamaica for 2 months. And in the 2 months I've been in Jamaica, bruh, I have felt more scared for my life. I have felt more scared for my safety in 2 months being here than I felt for 3 years living in Canada. And that says a lot. That says a lot. And these aren't like one-off instances that's like, oh, well, yeah, it happened once. Like, there's no need for you to be making a mountain out of a molehill. Like, no, I can literally go through every single day in Jamaica and tell you what about that day made me uncomfortable. For example, my friends and I are walking past the police station. Now, bear in mind, we're walking past the police station. So we should feel a sense of security knowing that at least, if nowhere else, we're safe right there. Except the police comes out and he said, excuse me, hello. So my friends and I are like, what? So we stop. The sergeant comes out and says, come here. So my friend said, why? Where are we coming? Then he says, you don't want to come talk to your friend. So my friend's like, no, we're not witnesses. We're not criminals. We're not making a statement. Why do we need to come talk to your friend? I'm like, no, I just want to talk to you. I can't talk to you. You are now telling me that, and then his henchman is going to be beside him saying, I just want to talk to you. Come now, man. Come now. You need to say a policeman want to talk to you. Come now, man. You're telling me that you left your job, that you're getting paid taxpayer dollars for, to come and look me? And you think that's okay? Do you realize how... And that's the problem. They think it's okay. That's the problem. Do you realize how uncomfortable and unsafe that can make someone feel? Because if you, the police, are the perpetrator of sexual assault, then whoever's on the street ain't gonna say nothing. The person walking next to me ain't gonna say, oh, why are you doing that? Stop. Because you are the law. You are the order. And if this is what you are perpetrating, you cannot expect someone else to say something about it. And so that's just like one example of how prevalent sexual assault is in Jamaica and how 90% of the men here don't see a problem with it. And it's really very, very, very irritating. The next thing about Jamaica is it's a very hyper masculine society. Jamaican men feel the need to control, to own women. Not just a woman, but many, multiple. The more women they can own or think they can own, the better. And they always say like, oh, well, it's because I'm a man. Like, I can't help it. Like, yes, you can, sir. Yes, you can, sir. If you couldn't help it, then we would live in a monogamous society. And don't be talking about like, oh, men are like naturally wired to have more than one woman. Like, first of all, if you're a girl and you genuinely believe that, then I'm sorry. And if you're a guy, like, stop the crap. Stop the crap. If you really wanted to believe in polygamy, we would also be talking about polyandry and not just polygyny. So let's not get into that. Now, Jamaican men has the desire to own women, and it's prevalent in how they speak, in what they say, in the songs they listen to. And a lot of people like to blame dancehall for the things happening in Jamaica. Like, they'll say, oh, it's because a dancehall artist said girl must have man must have enough gal in a bungle. Why Jamaican men feel the need to have many women. But we also forget that dancehall artists are literally normal men with a platform. That does not, like, they were influenced before they became influencers. It's something prevalent throughout society. And the other reason why I don't believe that dancehall is solely to be blamed for Jamaica's problems is because the average Jamaican male does not have the mental capacity to hear, understand, internalize, and then act out what dancehall is saying. So we're not gonna have that conversation right here. We're gonna stop it right there. Jamaican men feel the need to own women. That includes Jamaican dancehall artists, Jamaican athletes, Jamaican men in general. And we see this in how they act towards us, in the thing they say to us, in how they approach our bodies and how they approach us as individuals in society. And I'll give you a little example. I'll give you a lot of tingling. I was in Juicy, and I'm assuming that not only Jamaicans will be watching this. If you don't know what Juicy Patty is basically a patty shop. That's the show about this. So it's like a restaurant. So I was in Juicy Patty. I was going to place an order, and I was ordering a dozen, which means that I would have to go pick it up the next day. So I walked through the door and I see the security guard, and the security guard did look familiar. He looks like someone who I knew from somewhere, but I couldn't quite place the face. But he comes up to me with arms outstretched. He's like, hi. So I'm like, oh my gosh, crap. Like, I must have been really close to this person and I don't remember them. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like trying to figure out who's this person, who's this person, who's this person. He comes up to me and he hugs me and I'm like, oh, first of all. So I step back and then he's like, do I know you from somewhere? And I'm like, you mean to tell me you just hugged me? You just came into my personal space. You just hugged me, and you were not even sure if you know me. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm like, first of all, that made me extremely uncomfortable. So I said, no, you don't know me, and I'd appreciate if you don't do that again. And I like walked away. The next day, I come back to pick up my order. The next day, he comes up to me while I'm at the cashier. So the restaurant is not empty. Just want to give you the preface. It's not empty. There are a lot of people there. I'm at the cashier trying to tell them that I'm here to pick up my order. He comes up to me. That time my hair was like longer, and he runs his hair through my hands. He runs his hands through my hair, and he says, oh, you know, I would play this all day and all night if you gave me the opportunity. Sir, what? Excuse me? What? And the cashier was standing there, and she said, like, she looked at the exchange and she goes, so you want a shrimp patty? And I was like, oh, hang on. Yeah. Are we this desensitized that the security guard is at work not doing his job, assaulting me, and you guys are gonna be like, so you want fries with that? Like, really? And that leads me to my next point about how prevalent rape culture is in Jamaica, just subtly, because you will be on the bus being assaulted and people just be like, oh, crazy. They're like, whoa, that's wild. And they just turn the other way. Okay, what are you saying, right? Before I move into how prevalent rape culture is in Jamaica, the next thing I want to say about why I feel like sexual objectification is so prevalent in Jamaica is that, oh no, I forgot what I was going to say. Anyways, scrap all of that. Let's move into how prevalent rape culture is in Jamaica. It's actually ridiculous, bruh. It's actually ridiculous. Yesterday, I was going to my priest's office, the church office, because, you know, like, I'm there like almost every day because I'm friends with the secretary and Auntie Christina is there. So I was like going over, and I saw a lady that I knew. So I was like, afternoon, how are you? How's everything? Then the guy across the road, who, by the way, I was not talking to in any way. First he said, psst, but I chose to ignore him. And psst, it's like cat call in Jamaica. So first he said, psst, but I chose to ignore him. And I was like saying, afternoon, auntie, how are you? He said, can I get an afternoon too? So I was like, anyways, I ignored him because like he clearly was not talking to me, and we're not doing this. The man walked behind me as I was going to my priest's office, walked behind me up the driveway. So if you don't know much about like Catholic offices and churches, the priest normally lives next to the office. So even though it's a church office, a lot of the times it looks very residential because the church is like here, his house is here, the office is here. So I'm like walking up into this driveway that could honestly be my house, like where I'm living, and he walks behind me up into the driveway saying, ma'am, I can't get to afternoon till baby, so what? You not talk to me? Why you not talk to me? Ma'am, me can't get to afternoon. And his co-workers were there because they were loading trucks, right? His co-workers were there watching him walk me down, watching him walk up into the gate with me. And the only reason they called him was not to tell him, hey, stop, leave her alone, she's not interested. The crickets are cricketing.
One eternity later.
Okay, the only reason they stopped him was not to say like, hey, stop, leave her alone, she's not interested. It was because they needed help. they needed help picking something up, so they decided to call off this madman off of me. And I'm like, this is literally so scary. What if I was going home? What if this, you're telling me that this man would have followed me into my house, into my yard, to get me to tell him afternoon? And the 5 men didn't see anything wrong with this? None of them could say, bro, she's not interested, leave her alone? They were just gonna watch him want me down? That's wild. That's ridiculous. And so that's like one reason why culture, I'll call it, is so prevalent. The second reason is because of how much our society victim blames. You will literally, first of all, it's 30 degrees in Jamaica, right? And I remember I listened to a podcast that said when the Europeans went to Africa and saw Africans wearing climate appropriate clothing, they were like, damn, this is barbaric. Like, and then I'm like, oh yeah, well, you need to dress modestly because modest is traditional. No, if I want to dress traditionally, I'd be wearing like coconut leaves around my waist, like hula hula. Anyways, it's 30 degrees. And I remember I wore a dress. It was not a skirt. It was a literal dress. I'm walking through halfway through, and everybody, psst, 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 psst. And I'm like, no, leave me alone. But then, to add insult to injury, my friend says, why did you wear that? And basically what she's implying is like, if you didn't wear that, you wouldn't be getting all of this attention. And if you were getting all of this attention, you wouldn't have to tell men to leave you alone. And for the last time, I just want to say, when women wear things, we don't wear things for men. Just like how when men wear things, they're not wearing it for us, they're wearing it for other men. We're wearing it for ourselves. It is hot. I do not want to be in jeans. I never used to understand, why the hell did all Jamaicans wear jeans? It's literally so hot here. Why are we doing this? I don't want to be in jeans and a turtleneck in 30-degree weather. But no, that's not okay, because the fact that you are wearing a skirt, you're wearing a dress, you're wearing anything above your knees is clearly an invitation for men to have their way with you. And I was having a conversation about this with a guy, and I was saying that this whole modesty thing is really, it's wild to me, because it literally is only there for men. Like it makes women uncomfortable in terms of what they can wear so men can feel better. And he says, yeah, I understand that if a guy sees you wearing something and decides that he wants to like assault you or walk you down, that's not your problem. But at the same time, this is what he's saying, but at the same time, you still need to help men out. And I said, what? And he said, you need to help us out. Like, we're trying, but it's really hard if you're going to be walking around in any and anything. I'm sorry, but I don't see men walking around shirtless and go, psst, psst, baby, I'm like, you know, I don't do that. So if we can have decency and self-control, why can't men? That's what I want to know. Why can't men? If women can have the decency and the self-control, why must men have the audacity and the gall? I feel like culture. Rape culture, victim blaming at its finest, because the fact that you're being assaulted, it's your fault because you wore something too short. It's not his fault for not being able to control himself. It's your fault. It's not his fault for turning you into a sexual object, for objectifying you. It's your fault. You should have worn something long. And I'm like, that makes no sense, because even when I go out in jeans, I was standing with my friends. She was literally came out of her house for something. I'm telling you, this girl wearing like sweatpants, her like big t-shirt, and men are still calling to her, and she said, damn, I could look like and they would still try to call to me. And I'm like, yes, you could. You're gonna tell us that it's our fault? It's our fault? Anyways, this video is getting too long. I'm gonna try cut it a bit shorter. Anyways, let's continue going. And next thing, like still on this whole fact that rape culture is so prevalent in Jamaican society, I was getting my hair done, not this hairstyle, the one before. And this is why I'll never go to that hairdresser ever again. I was getting my hair done, and like the bar next door to us, we're playing some R. Kelly. It was playing some like smooth blues, you know, like whatever. So then she said, oh, I don't understand why people don't like R. Kelly. So I thought she probably just doesn't know what's going on. So I said, oh well, it's because he's a pedophile. And she was like, so I thought she just didn't understand what pedophilia was. So I was like, he was like 40 or 30 and he was trying to date a 13-year-old. And she was like, Zari, that's what they call me. In Jamaica, like, people call me Zari. They don't call me Azaria. They're like, Zari, age is just the number. If everybody is consenting, there's nothing wrong. At 13, you can't consent. At 13, you cannot consent. And to think that she raised 2 boys, right? She raised 2 boys. She has 2 grown-ass men as sons is very scary to me. Because if that's what she thinks, what are they thinking? She was a single mother. So she raised 2. She raised them solely on her own, right? And that's how she thinks. So what did she impart to them? What are they thinking? Anyways, let's move on. The next thing I want to talk about in relation to Jamaican men over-sexualizing women is the over-sexualization of Black features here in Jamaica. Now, let me get this straight. Jamaican men over-sexualize anybody. It doesn't matter. Black, brown, white, it doesn't matter what you are. They will over-sexualize you. But some things that they say to Black women, they won't say to other cultures. They'll still say something equally as horrible. It's not like they're gonna be like, oh baby, or baby, are you more of me in them? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're more likely to say that's like an American person, like a white person. But when Jamaican men are talking to like darker women, especially women with Black features, baby, me can't think what way I can do with them lip there, no. Baby, me like how you. I remember. I feel like this is just like a big story time of all my encounters with Jamaican men, which makes them look horrible, which sometimes they are. But I remember I was in high school and this big 20-odd-year-old man, I was not even 16 at the time, I think I was still 15. This big 20-odd-year-old man would come up to me and tell me, say, him like my breast them. I was gonna say boobs and breasts at the same time, and like a breast, whatever. Him like my breast them, and what him can't think for do with them. And I'm like, I'm 15. What? I'm literally 15. You are 24. And at the time, I never noticed what was odd because all of his friends were high schoolers. And I'm telling you, this man done high school. Never got to university, but way past like the average university age if you wanted to start right after high school. Way past that. Man don't have a job. Man just used to stand up outside and hang out with all these little pitney. And he was dating somebody in, I think he was like 25 or 26. Thereabout. And he was dating somebody who was 15. But at the time, because it's so normal here in Jamaica to see something like that, I didn't realize how wrong that was. I honestly used to consider him one of us, like one of these high schoolers, even though he wasn't. And I'm telling you, I was at the bus stop waiting for my bus to go to my yard, and this is what this man had to say to me. It was crowded. The bus stop was crowded. Many people were there. People heard this, and everybody was just like, well, oh, that's an interesting car color. White. I wonder what shade of white that was. Literally. That's literally Jamaica. Anyways, I feel like I'm already at 20 minutes. So let's get this on a roll. Now, the culmination of all of this, the crickets have started cricketing. Give me a second.
One eternity later.
What makes all of this even more horrible is the fact that Jamaican men don't think this is an issue. They genuinely believe that they're doing nothing wrong. They think that if they call to a woman and she doesn't want to answer, or like if they call to a woman and she doesn't like it or reciprocate their feelings, that they've done nothing wrong. As a matter of fact, I have frequently heard Jamaican men chalk it up to the whole boys will be boys narrative, except just in Jamaican terms. We're saying, a man, we name enough, we a man, we after. I can't see one nice girl pass and I say nothing. Yes, you can. You actually genuinely can. And us nice girls would appreciate if you did. Nice girls. Anyways, because Jamaican culture links masculinity to literally how many women you can conquer, how many women you have, and just like things that really don't need to define your masculinity, they think that, oh, it's natural, it's normal, this is something I have to do. And then the other thing is they're not all men narrative. And I feel like this is prevalent in every society, where you will say 98% of women have reported that they've been sexually assaulted, and then men will say, yeah, but not all men sexually assault women. So then who's sexually assaulting the 98% of women? And I think clearly common sense tells you that not all men will sexually assault women. But I think the issue starts from the fact that 99% of men don't even know what sexual assault is. So they like there's like a whole like yang yang in the background. So they genuinely, I'm like comfortable. But 98% of men don't know what sexual assault is. So they genuinely, truly feel like they're doing nothing wrong. Because how can you break a law you don't even know exists? And as in law, they say ignorance of the law is no excuse. Not because you don't know not because you don't know what sexual assault is, means that you've never sexually assaulted someone. So, my good sir, you should probably take a step back and ask women, how do you feel when I did this? Did it make you feel a way? Was I sexually assaulting you? And it also goes because a lot of these women don't even know that they've been sexually assaulted. So like, let's also start there. The next thing, oh, and then the final thing I wanted to, it's all right, I can edit this out. The final thing I wanted to talk about is how the fact that they genuinely think that women are asking for it. Like they genuinely believe that if a woman dresses up, she wants you to call to her. And I remember talking to one of my male friends about this. We were like having a discussion. It was an argument. It was a discussion. We were like having a discussion about catcalling and how much women hate it. And they were saying that, well, if you've been catcalled, you shouldn't hate it. You should feel grateful. Shall I repeat? If you've been catcalled, you shouldn't hate it. You should feel grateful. Because the worst thing, this is what he said, the worst thing in life is to feel like you are not recognized, to feel like you are not known. So if a man goes out of his way to catcall you, be glad that you've been recognized. Be grateful that he has looked upon you, a lowly servant, and decided to give you the time of day. So now this is the part of the video where I would like to come to you guys with a solution and say, hey, this is what needs to happen for like women to not feel like endangered species in Jamaica. But unfortunately, I don't have a solution, and I don't think anyone has a solution. If you think you have a solution, please feel free to comment it down below. But yeah, it's very unfortunate, but I don't think there's any one solution or even steps to a solution, because again, men don't think there's anything wrong. And the fact that they don't think there's anything wrong, the fact that they don't see anything wrong with their actions, means that they cannot change. And it's not women who need to change. It's not women who need to start walking around with tasers and pepper spray and knives. It's men who need to stop assaulting us. And until men realize that and stop, there's nothing we can do. And that's very sad. I just want to say, like, stay strong out there, women. Stay strong, hold on, fight the fight. I guess the one thing you could try to do is educate your male friends and ask them to educate their male friends, so that they can then in turn educate their children to respect women, and not their version of respecting women, which is calling to them and catcalling them and making them feel uncomfortable, but like what actually respecting women is. If you, maybe you could like, that's one sort of a solution, but there's honestly not much else you can do. Before I end out the video, however, I do want to make some clarifications. I do want to say some things. Number one, with sexual assault, it's if the victim perceives it to be assault, means it's assault. And that's very nuanced, because you yourself might just be saying, hey, like, I'm just calling to this girl, I don't mean for her to think that I'm assaulting her, but then she thinks that you're assaulting her, and that's his own thing. Like, yes, I understand that it's very nuanced, and nothing that I've said here is like black and white. Like, there's definitely a gray area where some of this stuff is related. Not all of it. I just already said nothing I've said here. Some things I've said here is not black and white. There's definitely sometimes a gray area. But the fact of the matter is, how you are approaching women can sometimes lead to them being endangered. And what you say, sometimes it's just not the right time, not the right place. Yes, some women might like when you come to them and you are that forward, but you do not know that. And that's why part of the definition of sexual assault is that if the victim does not explicitly express consent, that's when it really becomes sexual assault. So unless you're talking to a girl who you absolutely knows likes it when you do the whole rough baby thingy, then please refrain from doing it. I can guarantee you that your chances will be much higher. We don't like it. We really don't. Yeah, that's the clarification I wanted to make. That's the disclaimer I wanted to make. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, share if you found this useful, if you found this impactful, and stay tuned for my next vlog, because I do like a sit-down video once a month. So stay tuned for my next vlog.